conditions apply.
Okay, Sergey, screen 4. What are we watching?
It's a surprise.
What? Where are we? Oh, who's this woman? Is this a musical?
What is this vision I see in front of me?
Could this be my moment? It's happened finally.
Sergey, we both know you don't have the vocal range for this. Enjoy endless adventures with 2-for-1 cinema tickets from Meerkat Movies when you buy through Compare the Market.
Qualifying purchases Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Participating cinemas. 2 standard tickets only. Cheapest ticket free. T's and C's apply.
Online, on DAB, and on the talkRADIO app. talkRADIO.
I'm Dan Wootton. Welcome to my first drive time show on talkRADIO. Not necessarily, well, definitely not the circumstances which I wanted to start the show. So I will be talking about the tragic death of my friend Caroline Flack after the news at 4 with Daryl Jackson.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. talkRADIO on the Hour Headlines.
Thank you, Dan. Coming up, hundreds of properties flooded. Calls for new laws for the press and line of duty is coming.
talkRADIO News.
More than 400 properties have been flooded by Storm Dennis, and that figure is likely to rise. The Environment Agency has also revealed 18,500 other buildings have been protected. More than a month's worth of rain's fallen in just 48 hours in some parts of the UK. The river level in Hereford has reached the highest on record. Spencer Goodall from the rugby club there says water's got into the clubhouse, and it's not the first time.
We've only managed to play 2 games down the rugby club in the last 4 months because of the flooding. It's been going on since the end of October. So we've been throwing beer away. So as a club like us, amateur club, it's real bad.
Mike Smith's house has flooded in Hereford too. He and his wife are living upstairs at the moment until the water level goes down.
We had a lot of friends come in and they loaded everything up on tables and everything else. So all our kit is up in the air. So we've got nothing, hardly nothing on the floor.
Downing Street has described the death of Caroline Flack as a tragedy. A petition has now been started calling for new laws to prevent sections of the media knowingly and relentlessly bullying people, famous or not. Former singer Kerry Katona says dealing with bad press can be extremely traumatic.
Being in this industry, I personally have had to grow really thick skin. And I think if I didn't have my children, I probably would have done something like Caroline's done. And it's serious as that. Even though we are in the limelight, you cut us, we bleed, we're not superhuman.
Stephen Barnett is from the campaign group Hacked Off and told talkRADIO this afternoon that a press standards body was set up in 2014, but it's not any use.
IPSO is effectively the press doing exactly what they've done over 70 years, which is run their own complaints handling body. There is no proper scrutiny, no real accountability for the way they behave.
In other news, a hotel at Heathrow Airport has been block booked for travellers arriving with coronavirus symptoms. The Department of Health says those with nowhere else to self-isolate or wait for the results will be temporarily quarantined in West London. And 8 in 10 burglaries across England and Wales are closed without police identifying a suspect. Home Office data shows just 4% of residential break-ins result in someone being charged or taken to court.
talkRADIO National Weather.
Windy tonight with clear periods and further showers in the north and the west. Windy tomorrow again with sunshine and showers.
talkRADIO Entertainment News.
Now, filming has started on the new series of Line of Duty. Adrian Dunbar and Martin Compston have been pictured on set ahead of the 6th season later this year. The police drama attracted more than 9 million viewers for its final episode in May, making it the most watched drama since The Bodyguard.
talkRADIO Sports Update.
I'm Toby Gillis. The Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has vowed to stay with the club despite a punishment that's seen them banned from European football for the next 2 seasons. That is being appealed, but Pep is understood to have told his players, even if they put us in the 4th tier of English football, I'll still be here next season. His current contract expires at the end of next season. And Manchester United go to Chelsea tonight, looking to cut the gap to the all-important top 4 places. Chelsea are currently 4th, 6 points ahead of their visitors. That's the latest.
talkRADIO. talkRADIO.
Across the UK on DAB, digital radio and online. Drive Time with Dan Wootton on talkRADIO.
It's Monday the 17th of February. Welcome to a new kind of drive time here on talkRADIO. I hope to shake up the biased and boring coverage you've had to put up with everywhere else on the wireless. So every day we're going to have 3 hours of breaking news, the biggest newsmakers, feisty guests, A-list debates, no spin, no bluster, and definitely no political pandering allowed here. We're also going to stream the whole thing live on YouTube, if you're that inclined. I think we are streaming right now, actually. And speaking to you is the most important thing of all on this show. So these are my contact details. Happy to hear from you anytime between 4 till 7 weeknights. Call me on 0344 499 1000. Text me on 87222. Just start your message with the word talk. Tweet me on Talk Radio. Very big first show for you today. Should you be able to smack and swear at your kids? Martin Freeman thinks so. We will debate it. The controversial anti-woke actor Lawrence Fox is here to take on the cancel culture. Columnist Sarah Vine reveals the damage being caused to society by social media today. And Simon Cowell will join me to reveal whether he backs Brexit. Also, of course, the breaking news today are those shocking floods around the country as a result of Storm Dennis. The Environment Minister, George Eustace, is going to be here at the top of the next hour, so we can put all of those questions to him. In terms of regular features, we're also launching the Westminster Insider with Talk Radio's political editor Charlotte Ivers this hour, plus the political panel and the hit list, both regular features from my Friday show, will return at 5:30 and 6:30 every day.
Dan's Dispatch on Talk Radio.
But look, I have to be honest, this is the worst way that I could ever have imagined beginning this new radio show. Caroline Flack was one of the first people to message me when it was announced I would be taking over from the great Eamon Holmes. And the past 48 hours have been horrific for anyone who knew Caroline or for anyone who felt they knew her as a result of her extraordinary career as TV's flirty and sexy girl next door with more natural charm and charisma than anyone on the box. I was incredibly lucky to know Caroline for the past decade. She was one of my favourite people in the industry, down to earth, caring, and so much fun. But above all else, Caroline was deeply vulnerable. She had a roller coaster ride in this show business industry, full of incredible highs she never expected and upsetting lows when she simply couldn't understand some of the hate she was subjected to. But through it all, Caroline never moaned about the criticism from the public or the media attention that came with her job. She used it admirably and bravely to be able to make the points she felt she needed to without compromising her irrepressible desire to find love and live a happy life. For example, I remember 9 years ago when she was being completely unnecessarily criticised by some members of the public for dating the pop star Harry Styles, who happened to be younger than her. She wanted to speak out to make the important point that judging her for dating a younger man was ageist and sexist. So as usual, we poured more than a few glasses of champagne and started to chat. And she told me on that day in 2011, some people tend to want to see the negative immediately. And that's what I find really strange. If two people like each other and get on, why does anyone else find a negative in it? I know it's human nature for everyone to gossip, but why say it's bad? No one's been hurt in any way. And that is Caroline Flack summed up to me. Live and let live life to the full, don't judge. So I believe the judgment and hate and divisiveness since her death would have deeply upset Caroline. Many of the online trolls who attacked her so relentlessly these past few weeks have turned their anger and their viciousness onto new targets, especially the media. But so much of what has been said is simply not true. I supported Caroline both publicly and privately for the past decade, but especially these last few weeks as the CPS pursued an entirely unnecessary show trial against her. Many people have attempted to attack me over a front page story I ran in The Sun after ITV forced her to stand down as the presenter of her beloved Love Island. As is far too often true in the hate-filled world of social media, the mob of professional trolls have not bothered to look at the facts. This story was actually about ITV unfairly treating Caroline by taking away the show that she loved without a guarantee that she would ever return if she was found not guilty. With Caroline's full knowledge and support, I wrote about how ITV stars were furious that she hadn't received the same treatment as Ant McPartlin following his drink drive arrest. I also write an opinion column with that story on December 17. And I feel today it's important to share some of the words from that column now so you understand what my position really was, as it's the total opposite of what you will have read on social media over the past 3 days. And this is what I said. ITV loves talking about the duty of care it has to the people who appear on its air when it suits them. ITV also loves throwing presenters under the bus when it suits them. If you're Caroline Flack or Jeremy Kyle, the end has come the moment allegations against them or their show have appeared in the public domain. No time for a right of reply, let alone a trial or not guilty verdict. The apparent termination of their careers on the broadcaster has been brutal and swift, not allowing even the smallest opportunity for ITV, the brand, to be tarnished. Caroline most certainly has not been given the same opportunity as Ant McPartlin or even a phone call from ITV to check she's okay, I am told. Of course, I understand the allegations she is facing are serious. She needs help to address what happened and ensure she turns her life around. But to take away the show she helped make a huge commercial success for ITV before she has been found guilty of anything feels far too harsh. Now, after writing that column in December, online trolls suggested I was wrong for defending someone facing an accusation of domestic abuse. But then I received one of my regular messages from Caroline. This time, rather than any words, she sent me a succession of 22 giant love hearts. I knew then, and I know now, that Caroline Flack was innocent. She deserved to keep her job hosting Love Island, or at the very least, only be suspended and able to return to the show for the summer series. Caroline was not given that assurance by ITV. The CPS should have dropped their pursuit of Caroline and a pointless show trial that clearly wasn't in the public interest. The cost was too great. A forced separation from her heartbroken boyfriend, Lewis Burton, made no sense. Caroline just wanted to be heard. She told me many times in the last few weeks how she deserved to be able to tell her story and wanted to sit down with me for an interview to reveal publicly what really happened, but she was unable to legally. She also told me that she felt her life had been swept away from under her feet, but assured me she would keep positive and come back stronger. So, on so many levels, it is truly senseless that this is where we are at now. The loss of Caroline is too much to bear, and I understand that. And I understand that as a result of that, people are desperately looking to cast blame. But the type of horrendous attacks over the past 3 days do not represent Caroline, who was a spirited superstar who loved spreading love. And today we are going to hear from people who knew Caroline and who had spoken to her in recent days. So in just a moment, two of her friends, Nicola Mclean, the reality TV star, and Clemmie Moodie, the associate showbiz editor at The Sun on Sunday, will be here.
Talk Radio.
Are you sitting comfortably? Is your roof cascading light in the space around you? Loving that feeling as you glide over a bumpy road? If you are, you're almost certainly experiencing the advanced comfort of a Citroën SUV. If you're not, take one for a comfort drive. A test drive, but way more comfortable. Citroën C3 Aircross and C5 Aircross SUV range. Now with £500 off list price and free 0% APR finance. Ooh la la! Citroën. Citroën UK Limited, acting as a credit broker, not a lender. Conditional sale. Terms, eligibility criteria and conditions apply. Guarantee may be required. PSA Finance UK Limited, participating dealer stock vehicles ordered between the 3rd and the 29th of February and registered by 31st of March.
Lorraine here runs her own hot yoga business. She'd rather be working on her warrior pose than on her finances. That's why she got QuickBooks. Now she can get paid, track income, and run payroll all in one place. Because no matter how hot the yoga studio gets, running her business is no sweat.
Visit quickbooks.co.uk for details. Intuit QuickBooks.
People's Postcode Lottery costs £10 a month, and winning postcodes are announced every single day. Enter your postcode to play at postcodelottery.co.uk before midnight on the 20th of February to play in the March draws. PPL manage lotteries on behalf of good causes. 16 plus, conditions apply. Play responsibly.
Someone's knocking at the door. Somebody's ringing the bell.
If you're an EU citizen living in the UK, you need to apply to the EU Settlement Scheme. The scheme is open, so apply as soon as you can, even if you have permanent residence. You can apply to the EU Settlement Scheme online, and support is available if you have any questions. To find out more and apply, visit gov.uk/EU Settlement Scheme. Irish citizens and those with valid indefinite leave don't need to apply.
You want a better van with loads of extras, yeah? So how about a great van with a comprehensive 6-month, 10,000-mile warranty and 6 months roadside assistance, all included in the price? Hey, let's add nationwide delivery for £99 and a price promise too. Who would offer all this?
What's that coming over the hill, Van Monster?
Yep, that's who. Find out more now at vanmonster.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply.
Talk Radio. Traffic and travel.
In Manchester, all lanes are back open on the M60 anti-clockwise after that accident, but I can still see a delay as you go towards the Swinton interchange. A few things for Surrey as well this afternoon. Clockwise M35 got long delays between junction 10 and 12 the M3 because of an accident, but the northbound M3 also really busy out of Surrey into London because of an accident as you head towards the M25. Now for Hampshire, there is a westbound delay on the M27 that's approaching the M3 at junction 4 as the breakdown's closed off the inside lane. I'm Hannah Trinder.
To stay ahead of the competition, you need to know when to invest in your business, which is why now is the perfect time for you to take advantage of the Renault Pro Plus New for Old van scheme. Get £6,500 off the list price on the new Renault Traffic, tailored to your business when you trade in your existing van, so you get the upgrade you need to keep your business out in front. Let's invest in you. Search Renault Vans or visit your local dealer today. Order by 31st of March and register by 30th September. Business users only. Participating dealers only. For T's and C's, visit renault.co.uk/vans.
Talk Radio.
Drive Time with Dan Wootton on Talk Radio.
Brand new villa.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible. Shining. Are you ready for love?
It's a whole new series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here Now. It's Ant and Dec.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Come on,
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Not at all.
Still just so surreal, that incredible voice, that incredible laugh. And of course, it's a very, very difficult day for people who knew Caroline Flack across the country, people who felt like they knew her, and we are here to celebrate her, of course, as well. And to do that, I'm joined by Nicola Mclean, a close friend of Caroline Flack, and Clemmie Moodie, the associate showbiz editor at The Sun on Sunday, who had known and worked and been friends with Caroline for close to a decade. So, Nicola, this is incredibly difficult for you. I know this is the first time you've spoken about this, and you last spoke to Caroline on Friday night. Did you have any idea that something was wrong?
She'd made her Instagram to like close friends, so there was only a few, not very many people on there, and she posted something that I could tell she wasn't in a great way. She'd been doing a lot better, so I felt like she had done really, really well. She went to LA and was doing really, really well and seemingly a bit more positive. And then that post I knew. So I messaged her, as anyone else would do, and she was sad. She was really sad. And she told me, she said, I'm sad. She was just sad.
And
she
obviously,
really was.
obviously she had found out earlier that day that the CPS were pressing charges, and I know from my conversations with Caroline, her wish, her absolute desire was just that they would drop the charges.
Yeah, she just wanted to be with Lewis. She wanted the charges dropped. She felt like it was unfair, and she would, dart from being, I'll just plead guilty so this all goes away. But then she didn't want to plead guilty because she didn't think she was guilty, and neither do I. And I was very public in supporting her when this happened, and it's a shame not many other people did. I know that you did, Dan, and that's why I'm here to talk to you, because I've been asked to go on loads of the shows today, and I'm here with her friend's blessing because you were always so kind to her. And in what's such a tragedy, I go online and I see you, Clemmie, being absolutely trolled and say, the worst things said about you guys, and people don't know that she cared about you and you cared about her. You both don't deserve it, and she wouldn't want it. And it's like, when are we going to stop this? You think that this has happened to Caroline and maybe people will just be a bit kinder, but they're not.
I know the irony hasn't been lost on me the last couple of days. I mean, look, in a job like mine, I understand that you've got to take the incoming fire. But some of the things that I have been called and that are coming into my inbox on a regular basis over the past 3 days since I found out this news, calling me a murderer, is just one step too far. And it's particularly ironic in this case, given I was always there for Caroline. And it's a tough sometimes in this job, as you know, Nicola, when you're writing about celebrities. But, I hadn't fallen out with Caroline once in 10 years. And we would work together on the things. She would sometimes want things in the media. But the thing is, she actually adored her job and she adored the industry, and she loved being someone who was celebrated by the media.
She loved her job. I remember working with her on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here Now. I posted this on my Instagram and I think it sums her up perfectly. She said to me, if I get stuck, will you jump in? And I said, of course, girl, but you're not going to get stuck. And she was like, I'm so nervous. I said, you don't look nervous. And she said to me, Nicola, I'm a swan on top, but I'm a duck underneath.
Yeah. And Clemmie, actually, that is the perfect way to describe Caroline, because what people saw on the outside was this confident woman who was sexy and vivacious and one of the best presenters. And I remember going to see her in Chicago in the West End, and she was just amazing. This was her first leading West End role. She's not even a trained singer, and my goodness, she could always perform. But you know more than most that behind the scenes, she was crippled with confidence issues.
Yeah, it's exactly what you say. You see her on television, you see her on stage, and she's charismatic, she's fun, she's smiling, and she's grinning, and she's laughing, she's cracking jokes. And I would believe it. You would just think she's got the perfect life. She's earning good money, she's got a lovely boyfriend. But there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, that even her closest friends' family possibly don't know about. And you don't know, she's spoken about her anxiety. You don't know what someone's state of mind is. And she was fragile. She was incredibly fragile. And because she was so confident, I think it gave people the feeling that they knew her, and therefore they could criticise her online, say things that they would never in a million years say in real life walking down the street. And these things, she read every single comment. She read below the line on newspaper websites. And she was incredibly thin-skinned, and people didn't realise that. And, slowly it caught up with her, and it made her more and more sort of introspective in some ways, but she tried to hide it. She tried to please everyone and convince the world, convince her family and friends that she was so happy so that they could be happy, I guess.
So look, where do you stand on what has happened over the past 2 months? Because my position on this is obviously very clear. I wrote that at the time, as I said in my dispatch, that I felt ITV had thrown her under the bus. I know that people around her are absolutely desperate for ITV to commit to her going back on Love Island if she was cleared, because that's what happened with Ant McPartlin after his drink drive charge. Had she spoken to you about how difficult that period was and how rejected she felt by ITV?
Yeah, I mean, she was devastated. Her job was everything. She loved Love Island.
She did,
and she never ever wanted to, her hand was forced. There were rumours that she was sort of pushed out, and she, innocent before proven guilty, and she didn't get a trial. She was She was assumed guilty. She was sort of forced out. I mean, I understand there is an argument that, you know, if it had been a man, people would say it was double standards. It's very difficult.
But Nicola, why not suspend her? Why not say, this is your job, we want you to go and clear your name, sort yourself out, and then as soon as you've cleared your name, you're back? Because at the end of the day, she had been found guilty of nothing.
That's what I was just about to say. Suspend her for what? Suspend her for what? She was not found guilty. Until she is still... she will never, ever be found guilty. She is now not in that position, and she was never found guilty. Suspend her for what? It was outrageous to force her hand. She should have been presenting that show. She should be on there tonight, because had she have still been there, had she have had the support that I'm seeing now, the outcry of support for her, where were all these people when she was arrested? Where were all these big ITV stars? You know, they're happy to put up the tributes to, you know, our incredible loss, and it is a incredible loss. We're devastated. Where was that then? Why do I have to see? I have to see so many hypocrites in this industry. I've been in this industry since I was 15. I'm now nearly 40, which is horrendous. Why are people so hypocritical? Like, just man up. Everyone needs to man up and take accountability. If you didn't post for her back then, don't post for her now. It's just so annoying.
Well, I know that after that decision was made, and you were completely right to say Caroline's hand was forced.
Yeah.
It was made very, very clear to her by the bosses at ITV that she could not present the show, and they gave her the opportunity to sort of resign or stand down gracefully. But I know that for those first 2 days, when she was incredibly low, she didn't hear or see anyone from ITV. It was only after I wrote that comment piece in The Sun when all of a sudden they freaked out and thought, actually, maybe we've got to provide some aftercare to this woman. And Nicola, it's particularly shocking to me, given around a year ago, just under a year ago, Caroline and I were both at the funeral of Mike Thalasitis, a Love Island contestant who took his own life. And here we are again with their presenter. I can't believe the way she's been hung out to dry. I can't believe, I genuinely, when she told me that she was going to step down from Love Island, I said to her, categorically do not do that. You've told me you've done nothing wrong. I trust you. You know, your name will be cleared. Fight this. And she was like, she had no choice. And it's the cancel culture, isn't it? Why do we live in a world where now, because Sarah Vine, who we've got on very shortly, has written about this today, where once organisations and institutions could be relied upon to act as a brake on the madness, to exercise a certain restraint, in cases such as Flack's, now they seem to capitulate at the slightest hint of trouble.
And it's women. It's women. You know, this. I know I always get hounded on Twitter for being a man-hater, and I'm not a man-hater. I'm really not. But it's women. This would not have happened to a man. We've seen that. I love Ant and Dec, but this did not happen to Ant.
Well, on that point, actually, Eddie has messaged in to say, hi, Dan, Ant was convicted and found guilty. Caroline wasn't even guilty of anything. Makes it even worse. We love you, mate. Don't forget that. Oh, thank you, Eddie. That is much appreciated. And I want to go to Susan in Exeter on this. Of course, we're taking your calls throughout the show, 0344 499 1000. So much to share today. Susan, you've heard us discussing Caroline and what happened. As a member of the public who didn't know Caroline, what's your feeling on this?
By the way, we do love you. I love your show very much as well. I'm sure lots of us do. Dan, I didn't know this lady. I don't watch telly. I don't want to keep boring you with this. And I've never watched Love Island. I don't have a telly. Now, what I've read about this young lady, I got the papers at the weekend. First of all, I was stunned by her beauty.
She was a beautiful woman.
Well, she looked at the body and the face, everything. How a young woman with such beauty could even think of killing herself. This tells you that this young lady was in a very dark place. She obviously had problems. Did she lose her job?
Yes, she did.
How long before she actually took her life?
A matter of weeks.
Right. So you've got a lady here. I'm just thinking from a nurse's point of view, which I was many years ago, like many of us. Yes. You've got a lady here who has lost her job, You've got a lady who is facing a serious assault by the Crown prosecution which involved apparently the fact that she hit her boyfriend with a lamp or something, which nobody can confirm that.
Correct. Nothing proven.
He's denied
and
it.
he didn't want the charges
Yeah,
put.
I was just going to say that. The gentleman himself said, look, leave it, drop it, you know. Now, this lady, I think apparently from what I read, this lovely lady attempted to cut her wrists.
We don't know, and we don't want to speculate.
No.
But I think what we do know, Susan, is that she had been in trouble for some time mentally. Nicola, do you think Nicola's a close friend? So thank you for your call, Susan Exeter. Because look, Nicola, I think what Susan is referring to there, by the way, just to be very, very clear, is not the means by which Caroline died, but rather this speculation, Nicola, and I don't know what you can tell us about it, that Caroline, on the night in question when she was arrested, in fact, what may have happened is that actually it was a suicide attempt rather than an attack on her boyfriend.
She, you know, it wasn't what has been put out there, and she didn't want what had happened that night to be out there, which is why she was so terrified of it going any further. One thing I will say about the caller, and she sounded lovely, Susan, so if you're listening, I'm not, but when we talk about she was so beautiful, why can a beautiful person, like a beautiful looking person, want to kill themselves? I mean, are we still living in a day and age where we say things like this? It doesn't matter what your outside looks like, it's what's inside your mind, and what was inside her.
Although don't you think the public did understand, though, that Caroline was beautiful inside and out, and I think it was that vulnerability that connected the public to her, and maybe why we've had this big response this week.
And then dropped her as soon as one bad thing happened. I mean, if I would get hung out to dry for the mistakes I've made in my life, I would be, you know, that I would never work again. You know, you show me someone that side of the street is completely clean, and I will shake that person's hand, because we have all done things and we have all reacted in ways that we wish we hadn't. And
Absolutely.
Caroline had always
we
been...
need people to stand by us. And Clemmie, I look at the list of people now. Jeremy Kyle, Caroline Flack, Jason Gardner. These people thrown under the bus by ITV. Do corporations, do TV companies actually have to start saying, you know what, sometimes we're going to stand by our people. Yeah, there might be a social media outrage going on. Yeah, they might be trending on Twitter. Let's stand by our people, okay?
They did for Anne.
Well, they did for Anne. And there seems to be this sort of sense that these big giant corporations, ITV, are sort of throwing people under the bus at the sort of demand or the bequest of keyboard warriors who don't know these characters, they're treating them like characters, don't know these people involved, and are casting judgment, and ITV listening to these random people.
And Nicola, let's stop pretending that the Twitter, little weird, freakish London media world represents what the great British public are thinking, because it doesn't. In fact, Twitter is so far from what the great British public are thinking. It's what the London liberal media elite are thinking, and a whole load of trolls. That's it. That's all you get on Twitter.
I finished a show last week. I was a panellist on a show, and I finished it, and do you know what? I got in the car and I went to press Twitter, and I thought, I'm not strong enough today. I'm actually not strong enough to read what you want to say about me. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid. All of these things that when I'm having bad times, this is what I think about myself. I don't need you to tell me this day in, day out. Just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself.
That was the very powerful point that David Baddiel made in a piece that he wrote for The Times, saying that actually the difference now compared to, for example, when Big Brother was on TV, is that, yeah, you might have had some criticism in the tabloid media or some criticism in the press. Everyone gets it. The difference is now you're having members of the public come through to your phone constantly saying the most horrific things.
It's like a text message. I took my Twitter off my phone. I was like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, I've had to delete mine today.
Yeah, it makes you feel that worthless, doesn't it? And they get your Achilles heel, these people. And it's like, I've never had once in the whole time I've been in this industry, not one person said anything bad to my face, not one person.
Yes.
They would ask me for a picture. But online, they want to be so downright awful. You know, I can't, and it's clickbait as well. It's you know, back in the day it was tomorrow's chip papers. Don't worry about that. That'll be tomorrow's chip papers. Now all of these articles are there online forever and ever to see. You know, and I do blame the trolls, but I do think it's this clickbait society we live in as well, where, you know, it's not even the truth that's written, it's just to get you to click into it. And we all are terrible at looking at bad stuff about ourselves. Why do we care what it says on the bottom of the Daily Mail comments? But for some reason, we do.
But could I chip in quickly, because it's something that you said earlier, Dan, about the irony. The irony is that people that were calling Caroline fat and ugly, that probably said the same things to you, are now turning on the media and saying that we're murderers and all sorts of things. And there's no sort of holding to account anything that they're saying that they might have done, and that's what frustrates me. Caroline had so much abuse.
And you know, I will stress again, I was there for Caroline publicly and privately, and when I was defending her before her trial, I was trolled for sticking up for someone who was an abuser. And again, I think Caroline Flack was innocent then. I think she is innocent now.
Me too.
And that is forever how I will remember Caroline. And that's very important, because that is the legacy that she wanted. But what on earth is going to happen with this show Love Island? Now it feels like connected, or some people would say responsible for 3 suicides. Well, Andy Newton-Lee, a former Hollyoaks star, thinks the show should be axed. He'll be here in just a moment, as will Sarah Vine, the columnist who actually thinks it's social media that killed Caroline Flack. Back after the news with Daryl Jackson.
Talk Radio. Half-hour headlines.
Thanks, Dan. Police fear a woman who died after being swept away by floodwater as parts of Britain continue to cope with the impact of Storm Dennis. More than 200 flood warnings are in place, including 6 that are considered danger to life. In Hereford, the River Wye has risen to its highest level on record, and many properties have been flooded. Mike Smith and his family are currently trapped in their home.
We've got to wait till it goes down till we can walk around in wellies, and we haven't quite got like the waders. We've probably got about 18 to 2 foot in around the house, which we've never had before.
There are calls for stronger laws to protect people in the public eye following the death of Caroline Flack. Her death has put the spotlight back on the pressures which come with celebrity. One of her last Instagram posts said, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind." Nicola Mclean is a friend of Caroline's and has been speaking to Dan.
I can't believe the way she's been hung out to dry. I can't believe, I genuinely, when she told me that she was going to step down from Love Island, I said to her, categorically do not do that. You've told me you've done nothing wrong. I trust you. You know, your name will be cleared.
In other news, the government's booked out a hotel at Heathrow Airport for people arriving into the UK who may have coronavirus. It'll be used for travellers who are at risk but don't have anywhere else to self-isolate. And it's emerged Billie Eilish and her brother wrote the new Bond song in the bunk beds of their tour bus. The 18-year-old will perform No Time to Die at tomorrow's Brit Awards. On to the weather, windy tonight with clear periods and further showers in the north and west. Windy tomorrow with sunshine and showers. I'll have more news in half an hour.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio. Why not join me, my friends? Listen to the wise words of the whale. James Whale.
Well, I haven't got to be careful. I don't give a stuff one way or the other, to be honest with you.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio. Talk Radio.
Across the UK on DAB digital radio and online. Drive Time with Dan Wootton on Talk Radio.
Should ITV axe Love Island? 0344 499 1000. The former Hollyoaks actor Andy Newton-Lee and Daily Mail columnist Sarah Vine here in just a moment. But first,
The Westminster Insider with Charlotte Ivers on Talk Radio.
Charlotte is our political editor. She's going to be here every day at 4:30 with the best inside news and gossip and information we need to know about politics. And of course, Charlotte, today, very important breaking news. George Eustice, the Environment Minister, will be here shortly. The floods and criticism of Boris Johnson for not visiting the affected areas. What do you think's going on?
Well, essentially, this always seems to happen when there's a big crisis. Everyone says, where's the Cobra meeting, the big meeting that we usually have for, big natural disasters, that type of thing? And where is the Prime Minister? Why is he not going to the scene of this? Now, Boris Johnson, for someone who is a natural showman, and certainly we would think of as a very showy politician, actually seems to be taking a bit of a step back in the last few months, letting his cabinet go out on his behalf, not really making that many public appearances. And it seems like he's more trying to run his government from his seat in Downing Street, getting out the best lieutenants to actually go and pitch for him. It's an interesting change of mood. I'm not that surprised by it because he does seem to like to run things that way. But I think it slightly jars with that idea of him as the great showman.
Well, maybe he's actually getting more work done where he is, which I think maybe people should remember and consider sometimes in these instances. Now, look, interesting one. I was delighted with the Sunday Times splash yesterday, making it very, very clear that Number 10 is serious about its war with the BBC. But they've faced real pushback from many of their own and in some cases very high-profile backbench MPs.
No, that's completely true. I did think of you when I saw the Sunday Times' front page.
Take them on. Shut them down. Shut down Radio 1. Shut down Radio 2. It's happening, people.
Well, look, so essentially the government have flown a kite. They haven't announced any actual policies, but they put it out there that they want to significantly scale back what the BBC does and maybe move it to a subscription service rather than a licence fee as well.
Good.
As you say, quite a lot of consternation from Conservative backbenchers on this, in particular about the World Service. A lot of Tory MPs, particularly those interested in foreign affairs, very much see the World Service as something that is a huge bit of cultural capital for the United Kingdom.
But I thought the idea is that the World Service would actually be beefed up, potentially.
Well, it could be the case, and I imagine actually that would be...
And I have no problem with that. That's the one part of the BBC I'm okay with being beefed up.
Or you can join the Conservative MP campaign group on that one. But I think it's interesting. Look, the BBC's charter comes up for renewal in 2027. That is a long way away. It's also an entire general election away. So I think a lot of this actually is probably positioning. It's probably staking a claim for the type of government they want to be, rather than something we'll wake up tomorrow and
Dominic
see.
Cummings and Boris Johnson is showing the BBC that they are serious. And so the BBC now have a chance over the next couple of years to show if they are serious about cutting themselves, not pruning around the edges, about a real, genuine change. And I don't think they'll do it, because if they were prepared to do that, Charlotte, why would they have taken that inflation increase recently to the licence fee? I just think it's outrageous. But look, thank you so much. That is Charlotte Ivers with the Westminster Insight, and you'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, Charlotte. But of course, we are talking this hour about the tragic death of my friend Caroline Flack. And now what should happen? Should ITV axe Love Island, this show which has now been connected to the suicide of 3 famous people in this country? 0344 499 1000. Let me know what you think. We'll take your calls later in the show. But first, I'm joined by Andy Newton-Lee. He is the former Hollyoaks actor, a celebrity who knows what it's like to be thrust into the public limelight. And Andy, today you are calling for ITV to axe this show. Why?
Well, listen, since we spoke on Saturday, since I put that Instagram post, then we found out about Caroline's passing, I think the narrative of this whole situation has changed so much, Dan, and it has so many levels. There are so many levels. You know, when I said I was coming here today, people started attacking me for coming to you. And I just want to say something, Dan, for anyone that is attacking you. You're just giving people the information that they want. They're consuming this information, as are all the other journalists. So there's a bigger issue here. There's a much more fundamental issue here.
But at the same time, Andy, journalists have to act responsibly, and journalists are highly regulated. There is a system of law. There is a self-regulated system of very, very tough regulation. And so, I mean, I never think I'm just about giving the public the information they want, because, to be honest, especially in the case of Caroline Flack, there was just as much information that wasn't published.
Dan, absolutely. And I Dan, I know this. We've known each other many, many years. And I'm glad I'm in this seat, because I know this has just got so many layers, guys, and this has been building up for years. I did so much research last night.
And so why do you think ITV should axe Love Island?
Why do I think ITV should axe Love Island? Well, Dame Caroline McCall is who I want to...
She is the chief executive of ITV.
She's the chief executive of ITV. She was quoted in the Clitheroe Advertiser and Times last year, Sunday, August the 19th. She quoted a Michelangelo quote, and she said it's a favourite quote, and I'm going to read it. "The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high, but we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it." And then she goes on to say, "I feel this is really a really appropriate quote. I've got three kids and they roll their eyes when I say this to them often. And now I think now I know why they roll their eyes." And she says it's by Michelangelo. So what I would like Caroline to do is come on one of these platforms and talk about why the show should stay.
I think that is such a good point. If you look at ITV's coverage today, it's been pretty despicable, actually. They're trying to turn the focus on many different organisations. Where is Caroline McCall? Where is Kevin Ligo? If this was any other organisation, they would be demanding that the leaders speak out, and this statement is not enough.
Dan, I think though fundamentally, much more we've got an issue with society, and we've got an issue with all these kids that are at home trolling people that should be out playing sport, doing yoga, connecting with the friends. We've got a connection issue, and I'm going to rush because I know we've only got a short amount of time. You know, we need to save the next generation of kids, and I know I sound like we need to stop this, Dan. These trolls, they sit at home and they don't understand. Like, I've lived in the world of celebrity for 20 years, you know. I live in Los Angeles. I live 3 miles up a mountain. I've watched this machine destroy some of my friends, but at the same level, I think everybody, I'm not going to be specific about anything, the whole thing needs to be, the whole way this has panned out needs to be questioned, and it's everybody's responsibility. It's our responsibility.
Yes. And so is your idea, Andy, though, that ITV should axe Love Island because this show has just turned too toxic for the participants?
I think we're taking it too far, Dan. And
because these people get too famous too quickly?
Whether these deaths are, you know, she was quoted in a paper saying last year, the deaths of Mike and Sophie are not related to the show.
So that's Mike Thalasitis and Sophie Graven, who were the two contestants that committed suicide after appearing on Love Island.
Yeah, and then she went on to say, shortly after to announce that they were giving us 2 more series. And then we find out that Love Island's like the most commercially viable you know, programme for ITV, so they're going to try and keep it. And what Caroline is trying to do, I feel, is she trying to take this as far as she can? Oh, but at what cost? And it's not just her, Dan. It's everything around this thing is wrong. We need to take control now, and we need to speak to our kids, and we need to ask. We need to get children off their phones, and we need to get them communicating traditionally again. We need to reconnect, and the iPhone and Instagram, and Russell Brand has said this. Russell Brand invited Caroline to one of his seminars. You know, I've been studying Kundalini Yoga for the last 2.5 years. This is not something that has happened overnight to me.
And that changed your life?
It changed my life as well. And I think there's many layers to this, Dan. There's many layers.
Yes, because I think it is important, though, to stress, Andy, of course, that suicide is so complicated.
It's so complicated,
complex.
Dan.
And certainly in the case of Caroline or Sophie or Mike, I would not for a second blame one factor or
absolutely.
One individual or one TV show because it's so complicated.
No one's trying to do that, and I'm certainly not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do, and the reason I flew in from LA today, is because we need to invoke a national debate about this show. This, guys, is our new Brexit. We need to figure this thing out, and we need to do it soon. Forget the blame. Let's figure out what damaged these reality shows. Towie, you know, Geordie Shore. They're all destroying the moral fabric of society.
But what about people, Andy, who say, look, these shows gave me a chance to become famous and make millions. But that's the problem. And I'm happy with that.
They're not happy, though, Dan. None of them are happy. You know, I used to see these kids at parties. They're surrounded by PR people. They've got 5 million followers on Twitter, and they're stupid, Dan. They're kids from Essex that got lucky, and they shouldn't be given the Pandora's box in any means.
Look,
any way, shape, or form, it's wrong. The whole thing's wrong.
I would disagree that these people are stupid.
No, I don't mean stupid, Dan.
I would say I've seen so many reality stars grow
I
into
apologise for that
brilliant
comment.
people.
My passion's overriding
some
of this. they're not equipped to deal with fame and everything surrounding it. It's a whole game.
But my friend Gemma Collins would say, actually, this show has allowed me to become one of the most famous people in the world. I'm balanced. I'm now a multi-millionaire.
Is she balanced? Show me some.
Absolutely, she's balanced. And she's very, very successful and has been able to cope with the fame.
Gemma is hugely successful. Internally, my question is: she happy? Well, we thought.
Gemma will be here later this week, so we'll be able to talk to her about it directly.
Gemma, I'd love to chat to Gemma about her relationship with fame because Gemma's an interesting one.
Okay, but so to sum up though, Andy Newton-Lee, who has been a big celebrity in his time, now works behind the scenes. Andy, you were saying Love Island, it's got to go. And it's got to go for the safety of people and it's got to go for the fabric of society.
I'm saying we need to invoke a debate about it, Dan, and we need to talk about the many layers of this situation.
Well, you have
Caroline.
started the debate perfectly.
Thanks, Dan.
And we'll throw it over to you later in the show. What do you think? 0344 499 1000. Should Love Island be axed? That is Andy Newton-Lee. After the break, Sarah Vine, she has a different take on this. She thinks it's social media that has seen this debate turn so toxic. So we'll discuss that with her in just a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, online, on DAB, and on your smart speaker. Talk Radio.
The Dacia Duster has won what car? Best family SUV less than £20,000 for the second year running. Time to roll out the fanfare. Starting from only $10,995, our prices are pretty modest, just like our celebrations. Visit dacia.co.uk to find out more about our range of award-winning cars. Dacia, you do the maths.
A nice weekend, a nice walk, a nice relax on the sofa. Is nice what you really want, or is nice not satisfying you? You're always thinking, can I do more? Life as an RAF reserve could satisfy that urge with life-saving mountain climbing, truck driving, helicopter flying weekends. So when Monday comes and Jackie asks what you've got up to, you can say you've had more than just a nice weekend. There's a role waiting for you right now. Search RAF Reserves. Find your force.
Having to deal with financial stuff can make you feel... But at Money Supermarket, we make you feel... That's because we go further to help you get money car. We don't just compare. We cut prices to help you get cheaper car insurance deals. Get money car. Money Supermarket.
Can I have chemo at home?
It's only suitable for a couple of types of cancer.
When you search one question about cancer, you end up with millions of results which contradict each other. For clear and uncomplicated information, come to Cancer Research UK. Visit us online or give us a call on 0808 800 40 40. Cancer Research UK. Together, we will beat cancer.
Could the owner of a Santorini black all-electric Jaguar I-Pace, winner of World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year, World Car Design of the Year, and 68 other industry awards, parked in South Terminal Long Stay, Area G, please give yourself a big pat on the back. That's a stunning car.
The all-electric Jaguar I-Pace. Electric never looked so good. Search Jaguar I-Pace.
Talk Radio. Traffic and travel.
There are delays on the M42 in the West Midlands. That's northbound between Knoll and Junction 7 because of an accident in the inside lane. Elsewhere for Bedfordshire, delays also continue for the M1 northbound as you come off at Junction 13 for Bedford because of several bricks on the exit slip road. Now all lanes are back open on the M25 clockwise. Still really busy though between Junction 24 and 25 to Enfield after that accident. And for Hampshire, there are long queues building up on the southbound M3 between Junction 9 and 11 because of an accident. I'm Hannah Trinder.
The Mona Lisa is only 30 inches tall. The world's hottest chili? 1 inch. And Napoleon? Taller than a Great Dane, but only by 71 centimetres. Who says small can't make an impact? The Peugeot 108 Allure is now available for just $159 per month, with $159 initial rental. Our small but mighty car that doesn't have to cost you a small fortune. Peugeot Motor Company plc, a credit broker not a lender, will introduce you to PSA Finance UK Limited. Personal finance lease, 48 months at 159, 18 plus, guarantee may be required. Terms, eligibility and return conditions apply. You will not own the car.
Talk Radio. Across the UK on DAB digital radio and online. Drive Time with Dan Wootton on Talk Radio.
It's 4:53, and of course this is a difficult one for me, my first Drive Time show, but also discussing the death of a friend and someone who I've known for the past decade. So thank you so much for all of your messages coming through. Bob says, dignified response just then and a tribute to Caroline Flack from A Decent Man. And I hope your trolls hold their heads in eternal shame for the way they have been attacking you. Bob, obviously this isn't about me today. I'm absolutely fine, but it's just about the irony of the fact that these people who are apparently expressing disappointment for the way that Caroline was treated are now doing exactly the same thing. And someone who knows all about this and has written the most powerful column about it in the Daily Mail this morning, tried and convicted by the merciless court of social media, is Sarah Vine. Sarah, thank you so much for being here on my first show. And I wish we were talking in better circumstances, but my goodness, your column was just so powerful today. And it talks, what I think really interests me, Sarah, is you talk about not only are the trolls so horrible, it's the fact that the companies, the corporations who used to back their employees now just worry about the trolls.
I know. It used to be the case that they would at least sort of exercise a kind of, third wall between the madness. And they just seem to give in. They just seem to capitulate so quickly now, don't they? They just do whatever they think is best for their own PR. When I mentioned Alistair Stewart in my column today, I mean, he was just totally hung out to dry over a Twitter spat. And it's a great shame because the thing is, there are processes in place. When people do something wrong or they're accused of doing something wrong, the evidence has to be presented and they have to be given the time to state their case, explain themselves, and we have to work out whether or not what they've been accused of is actually the case. So you have to be innocent until proven guilty. And I think one of the problems with the internet and the social media sites is that they take that away because people come to judgment very, very quickly, often based on facts that are not necessarily accurate, or also not on just simply not having all the facts, just having a one-sided account.
Absolutely. And you discuss actually what it's like to be at the sharp end of it. I've got to read it because it's so visceral. And you say the wave of negativity hits you with a force that is impossible to describe. It sweeps you off your feet, carries you away to far-flung shores of self-doubt and loathing, leaving you shipwrecked in the darkest recesses of your mind. And that, to me, because I've been there too, Sarah, and I've definitely been there the last couple of days, that to me sums up why social media is the damaging force here.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because, I mean, I've learnt now to turn off all my notifications and things, and I screen a lot of what I see on social media. But I think there's something very strange, lots and lots of people aiming negativity at you. I do think, without wishing to sound like a sort of, a bit sort of woo-woo, I think it does affect you. It really, really does. Yeah. Even if you're not being confronted with them in the street. I mean, it's just having a massive hate vibe aimed at you, and it really does undermine your sense of who you are, and it makes you think, well, maybe I am a terrible person, maybe I deserve all of this hate, maybe I should, just stop and not do this anymore, and even the strongest person, and it's kind of funny because it doesn't really matter what your friends and family say to you. It's just like somebody is just getting all the demons, all the voices in your head. We all have, all of the self-doubt.
Totally.
And just giving them loads and loads and loads of fuel, and then they all just start shouting at you. And it is really hard to be rational at that point.
Well, it's interesting. I spoke to Ed Sheeran about this, and he was one of the first big celebrities who quit Twitter. And he said, and when he explained this to me, because remember, this is when he was, and still is, the most popular guy pretty much in the country. And he said he would walk into a room full of people and be convinced that every single one of them hated him because of what he was getting on his Twitter feed.
Yeah, it's just paranoia. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. When you're dealing with a Twitter mob, there's no point trying to explain yourself or be rational because they're not interested in hearing that. And quite often they'll jump to conclusions without actually having read what you've said or without having, without ever having seen you. They don't know what they're doing. They're just sort of jumping in, and it's a sort of lemmings situation where everybody gets themselves. I mean, it is like I know it's a cliche, but you do read about the sort of witch hunts of the Middle Ages and how people would get themselves in
just
a real
moved on to social media, and then the social media companies, Sarah, as you also point out in your column, getting away with it, getting away with doing nothing.
I mean, the thing is, what they have very cleverly done is that they have managed to stop themselves from being classified legally as publishers. And as a result, they are not subject to any of the laws that publishers are subjected to. Now, I know that a lot of tabloid newspapers have come under criticism in the last couple of days, but the truth is that however bad the tabloids are, they are held to account if they get it wrong. If a tabloid newspaper publishes a load of pack of lies about you, they will have to make reparations. Where it doesn't matter what anyone does or says on social media, because they don't consider themselves to be they just consider themselves to be platforms for other people's opinion. And the worst part of it is that they use the sort of excuse of free speech, which is really pernicious, actually, because as we know, free speech is very, very important, and it's something that we all care a lot about. And they're using that as an excuse to just allow people to, say whatever they want.
Absolutely. When they've got the money to regulate. No, it's fascinating. Sarah Vine, Daily Mail columnist, such a powerful column today. Thank you for being here. Stand by after the news. George Eustice, who is, of course, the Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, here with the latest on those floods.
Talk Radio.
A half-price dream holiday, wouldn't want to miss that. A takeaway for free, wouldn't want to miss that. And 30 gigs data for just £10 a month on Smarty Mobile. You definitely don't want to miss that. Our Smarty SIM comes packed with 30 gigs of data and unlimited calls and texts for just £10 a month on a 1-month plan. That's why Smarty won Best Value SIM-only network in the U-Switch Mobile Awards 2020. Don't miss out. Search Smarty Mobile. Smarty. Simple, honest mobile. Smarty.co.uk.
How do you make the most understated Range Rover even more striking? Paint it Santorini black. Fit it with privacy glass. A full leather ebony interior. Then place it on 21-inch gloss black alloy wheels. The Range Rover Velar R Dynamic Black. Understated has rarely been so bold. Limited numbers available for a limited price. Search Range Rover Velar. Land Rover. Above and beyond.
Limited availability while stocks last at participating UK Land Rover retailers. Check with your local retailer.
The moment you realise that freezing water isn't warming up and you've cancelled your gym membership so you can't use their shower, the moment you realise you've British Gas Home Care boiler cover. From just 46p a day, you've someone to turn to 24/7 and you get an annual boiler service. And if you buy selected home care products online by the 24th of February, you'll get a gift card worth up to £75 to treat yourself. So the moment you have a problem, make it our problem. British Gas. Here to solve. Search British Gas Home Care. Conditions apply. Prices vary by postcode.
If you're an EU citizen living in the UK, you need to apply to the EU Settlement Scheme. The scheme is open, so apply as soon as you can, even if you have permanent residence. You can apply to the EU Settlement Scheme online, and support is available if you have any questions. To find out more and apply, visit gov.uk/EU Settlement Scheme. Irish citizens and those with valid indefinite leave don't need to apply.
Half-term is family time, so Sergey take Oleg and Ayana swimming, to movies, bowling, ice skating.
So tired.
Luckily, with Meerkat Meals, you can get a free soft drink with every main at Frankie and Benny's.
Free drink? Woohoo!
Oh, now you've perked up. Get 2 for 1 on food at Frankie and Benny's, and for a limited time, a free regular soft drink with every main. Only when you buy, so compare the market.
Qualifying purchase 2 for 1 on selected food, cheapest free. Sunday to Thursday, app only. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Offer valid until March 1st, 2020.
Wouldn't it be nice to keep things you normally lose? Your favourite scarf, your train of thought, or your mobile data. Because with most other networks, you get to the end of the month and your data is, well, never to be seen again. But unlike anyone else, with Sky Mobile, you can roll and keep all your unused data for up to 3 years. Sky Mobile. Hello, possible.
Full terms and conditions at sky.com/mobile.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
I'm Dan Wootton. This is the brand new Drive Time show here on Talk Radio. Big lineup today. Simon Cowell and Lawrence Fox both on the way. Plus, in just a moment, the Environment Minister, George Eustace, with all of the latest on the Storm Dennis flooding. That's after the news with Daryl Jackson.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Talk Radio on the Hour Headlines.
Thanks, Dan. Coming up, hundreds of properties flooded, calls for new laws for the press, and line of duty is coming.
Talk Radio News.
Police fear a woman has died after being swept away by floodwater as parts of Britain continue to cope with the impact of Storm Dennis. More than 200 flood warnings are in place, including 6 that are considered a danger to life. In Hereford, the River Wye has risen to its highest level on record, and many properties have been flooded. Simon Reed's house also flooded.
It's been a bit concerning. We've been talking to the environment guys, and they've said, the water's going to peak. It's going to peak. It hasn't peaked yet. It could be 5.2 metres, 5.8 metres, 6 metres, and the flood defences burst at 6 metres. So, it's quite concerning.
Caroline Flack's ex-fiancé has broken his silence after the former TV presenter took her own life at the weekend. Andrew Brady says prosecutors aren't to blame for her death as he criticised the British media. More than 400,000 people have now signed a petition calling for new laws to protect people from being bullied online. Reality TV star Bobby Norris says something needs to be done.
It's become such a culture now, trolling and abusing people online. And that's exactly what it is. It's abuse. You're abusing people. And people think online you can say what you want and words have no meaning. And you can have a thick skin and some people go, you've signed up for it. No one signs up for that at all.
In other news, another person's been arrested after a 19-year-old man was stabbed to death in Greater Manchester. The teenager was targeted in Oldham yesterday morning. The 19-year-old suspect's being questioned on suspicion of murder, as are 3 other men. Downing Street's confirmed 74 British people stranded on a cruise ship in Japan may be flown home. The Diamond Princess has been on lockdown for the past 2 weeks after more than 400 people tested positive for the COVID-19. Professor Jonathan Ball, who specialises in emergency viruses, says it's understandable they've been quarantined.
These cruise ships are a hotbed for transfer of infectious viruses like the novel coronavirus. People are living in incredibly close proximity to one another. They will be exposed to a variety of contaminated surfaces.
Meanwhile, the government's booked out a hotel at Heathrow Airport for self-isolating travellers waiting for test results. And David Lloyd Leisure is facing prosecution after a 3-year-old boy drowned in one of its swimming pools. Leeds City Council says it believes the group has breached health and safety laws following an inquest that ruled his death was accidental.
Talk Radio National Weather.
Windy tonight with clear periods and further showers in the north and west. Windy tomorrow with sunshine and showers.
Talk Radio Sports Update.
I'm Toby Gillis. The Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has reassured the club he won't be leaving in the summer, despite their ban from European competition from next season. They were given the